There's a moment in your financial journey when everything shifts. One day you're checking your investment account, watching it grow at the speed of continental drift, feeling like you're barely making progress. Then suddenly you wake up and your money is making more money than some people earn at their actual jobs. It's not magic, it's mathematics. There are 3 specific net worth milestones where this transformation happens so dramatically that your wealth building shifts into overdrive. And most people quit right before they hit the first one because they don't understand how the math actually works. My name is Ivan, and I spend way too much time thinking about money, compound interest, and why most people never seem to escape the paycheck to paycheck cycle. If you are someone who actually wants to understand how wealth building really works instead of just hoping for the best, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if it ends up being helpful. When you think about building wealth, you probably imagine it's linear. Save $10,000, you're $10,000 closer to your goal. Save $50,000, you're $50,000 closer. It makes perfect sense, except it's completely backwards from how money actually works when you invest it properly. Your net worth doesn't grow in a straight line. It grows like a snowball rolling down a mountain, starting slow, then accelerating until it becomes an unstoppable force. The first tipping point happens at $100,000. This is where compound interest finally wakes up and starts pulling its weight. And most people completely misunderstand what this milestone means. Here's what poor Peter thinks. If I have $100,000 and I need $1 million, I'm 10% of the way there. 9 more of these to go. He sees this as a linear climb where each $100,000 takes the same amount of time and effort. So after grinding for 5 or 7 years to hit $100,000, he looks at the mountain ahead and thinks, this is going to take 50 more years. He gets discouraged. He gives up. He cashes out and buys a boat. Rich Richard understands something different. He knows that $100,000 invested at a 7% average annual return generates $7,000 a year without him lifting a finger. That's $583 a month in passive growth before he adds a single dollar. Next year, that's $7,000 compounds on itself. The year after, even more. It's a snowball effect that's invisible at first but becomes undeniable over time. Let's make this concrete. Say Rich Richard hits $100,000 at age 30 and continues investing $500 a month. By age 40, he's not at $160,000 like poor Peter would expect. He's at $280,000. The compounding is doing half the work. By age 50, he's not at $220,000. He's at $680,000. By age 60, $1.6 million. The first $100,000 took 10 years. The next $900,000 took 20 years. But in those final 10 years, from 50 to 60, his portfolio added nearly 1 million. Same contributions, radically different results. This is why the first $100,000 is the hardest. Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett's longtime partner, said it best. The first $100,000 is a beach, but you gotta do it. After that, the math starts working in your favor. Your money becomes a worker that never sleeps, never complains, and gets more productive every year. But here's a psychological trap. The first $100,000 requires grinding when you see minimal results. You're putting in $500 a month and watching your account grow by maybe $6,500 a year in the beginning. It feels slow, it feels pointless. Meanwhile, your friends are buying new cars and taking trips to Bali. The temptation to quit is massive. Rich Richard pushes through anyway. He automates his investments so he never sees the money. He ignores his account balance for months at a time. He understands that this phase is about building the foundation, not seeing immediate results. Poor Peter gives up at $40,000 or $60,000 because he can't see the finish line. He doesn't realize he was closer to exponential growth than he thought. The second milestone hits around $650,000. This is where your money can generate substantial passive income that fundamentally changes your financial security. Let's run the numbers. $650,000 invested in a diversified portfolio of dividend stocks, bonds, and index funds can generate $26,000 to $32,000 per year in passive income at a 4.5% yield. That's $2,200 to $2,700 every single month without touching the principal. You're not selling assets, you're just collecting what your money produces. For Rich Richard, this changes everything. That passive income covers his basic expenses, rent or mortgage, utilities, groceries, insurance. He's not financially independent yet, but he has a cushion that removes the fear of losing his job. If he gets laid off, he doesn't panic. That $2,500 a month buys him time to find the right opportunity instead of taking the first offer out of desperation. It also gives him leverage in negotiations. When he asks for a raise or considers a job offer, he's not negotiating from a position of need. He has walking away money. That confidence translates into better outcomes. Studies show that people with financial cushions earn 10 to 15% more in negotiations because they're willing to say no to bad deals. Poor Peter at the same net worth, he doesn't have it structured for passive income. His money is sitting in a savings account earning 0.5% interest, or it's tied up in a house with no cash flow. So even though he has $650,000 on paper, he's still living paycheck to paycheck because none of it is working for him. Here's where the psychology shifts for Rich Richard. He starts making decisions differently. That job he hates, he can leave without destroying his life. That side project he's been thinking about, he can take the risk because his passive income covers his baseline needs. The toxic relationship he's been tolerating because of shared finances, he has the independence to walk away. This is what financial advisors mean when they talk about FU money. It's not about being rude, it's about having enough financial security that you don't have to tolerate situations that drain your life. You can say no without fear. That freedom is worth more than any material purchase. But reaching $650,000 requires sustained discipline. If Rich Richard hit $100,000 at age 30 and kept investing $1,000 a month at 7% returns, he'd hit $650,000 around age 47. That's 17 years of consistent investing. No panic selling during crashes, no pulling money out for a boat or a kitchen remodel, just steady, boring, automatic contributions month after month. Most people can't do this. They get to $200,000 or $300,000 and their lifestyle inflate. They buy the bigger house with the bigger mortgage. They upgrade the car. They take more expensive vacations. Their expenses rise to match their net worth, so they never reach the inflection point where passive income becomes meaningful. Rich Richard avoids this trap. When his net worth grows, his lifestyle stays roughly the same. He might spend a bit more on things that matter. Better food, a cleaner to buy back time, a vacation he actually wants. But he doesn't upgrade his baseline existence. His housing costs stay at 25-30% of income. His car is paid off. His subscriptions are ruthlessly pruned. The gap between his income and expenses stays wide, which means more money gets invested, which accelerates the path to passive income. The third milestone is $1 million. This is where you realize you've basically won the financial game that most people don't even know they were playing. At $1 million using the same 4% safe withdrawal rate that financial planners recommend, you can generate $40,000 per year in passive income without depleting your principal. That's $3,300 a month. For a lot of people, especially those who kept their lifestyle lean, that's enough to cover all their basic living expenses. You're not rich in the Instagram sense, but you're financially independent in the way that actually matters. You can stop trading time for money if you want to. Rich Richard hits this milestone at age 55. He started with nothing at 25, hit $100,000 at 35, hit $650,000 at 47, and now at 55, he has 7 figures. Same $1,000 per month contributions he'd been making for decades, plus the compounding doing most of the heavy lifting in those final 8 years. From $650,000 to $1 million took less time than $100,000 to $200,000 because the snowball is massive now. Poor Peter is still at $180,000 at age 55. He took money out twice for emergencies that weren't really emergencies. He stopped contributing during the 2020 crash because he panicked. He inflated his lifestyle every time he got a raise. He never understood that time in the market beats timing the market. Now he's looking at working until 70, maybe longer. While Rich Richard is considering early retirement or shifting to work he actually enjoys without worrying about the paycheck. But here's what's really wild about hitting $1 million. The psychology shift is massive. Rich Richard wakes up knowing that even if everything goes wrong, loses his job, gets sick, whatever, he's not going to end up destitute. That $40,000 per year covers a modest lifestyle. It's not luxury, but it's security. And that security is liberating in ways people who haven't experienced it can't comprehend. He makes different choices. He takes career risks because failure doesn't mean catastrophe. He's more generous because scarcity isn't driving his decisions. He's calmer in general because money stress, which affects 70% of Americans according to surveys, is gone from his life. He still has problems, but money isn't one of them anymore. Here's where it gets even better. Some people hit $1 million and coast. They ease up on the discipline that got them there. Big mistake. The people who understand wealth building at a deeper level realize that reaching your first million is like graduating from college. It's a huge accomplishment, but it's also just the beginning of what becomes possible. From this point forward, the mathematics become absolutely ridiculous in your favor. To go from $1 million to $1.5 million, you only need a 50% return. That can happen in just a few good years. To hit $2 million, you need your investments to double, which historically happens every 7 to 10 years at typical market returns. From $2 million to $3 million only requires a 50% increase. From $3 million to $4 million just a 33% boost. Each subsequent million becomes easier if you maintain the financial discipline that got you there. This is where wealthy people start thinking differently about money and time. They understand that every dollar has the potential to become multiple dollars through compound growth. And this understanding influences every financial decision they make. Now here's the objection everyone has. What about market crashes? What if the economy tanks right when I need the money most? Legitimate concerns. That's why diversification and conservative withdrawal rates matter. But here's the thing, most people don't realize. If you're consistently investing over decades, market crashes actually help you build wealth faster. When prices drop, your monthly contributions buy more shares. When the market inevitably recovers, and it always has historically, those extra shares you picked up during the downturn become incredibly valuable. Rich Richard, who kept investing through 2008, 2020, and every other crash, ended up way ahead of poor Peter, who panic sold at the bottom and sat on cash waiting for the right time to get back in. The math doesn't lie, even if it requires more patience than our instant gratification culture typically appreciates. The people who build serious wealth aren't smarter than you. They're not luckier. They just understood these milestones, believed in the mathematics, and had the discipline to keep investing when it felt pointless. Your job right now is to figure out which milestone you're chasing. Get there as fast as possible because that's where the momentum shifts. Trust the process. Because 20 or 30 years from now, you'll either be thanking yourself or wondering what could have been. The milestones don't care about your excuses. They only care about whether you showed up.